Are you confused about writing? Do you not know where to start or even how to finish? Do you love writing so much that it burns deep in your soul, but you still don't know how to meet your goals? Are you looking for a little inspiration that will take you on a writer's vacation? Then let us all write together. Let us all write our way. Hello everyone, welcome to Write Our Way. I'm your host Patrick Starks, and today we're going to talk about the knowledge of storyboarding making for great dialogue. I know it's been a while since I talked with you guys, but we're going to go ahead and dive right in it head first, guys. We're not going to explain the disappearances of each other. You know, things happen in life, we get busy, we have things we have to tend to, personal affairs. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. I want us to get back into what we love most, and that is writing, specifically fiction, but we will elaborate and talk about how some things in fiction can correlate and work beneficially to nonfiction. But enough with my rambling. Let's get on with the session. So, what I am talking about when I say the knowledge of storyboarding makes for great dialogue, what I'm talking about is exactly what it sounds like. We as writers need to have a vision for our stories. We need to be able to draw them out. And I know that I talked about this in past podcasts, but I want to go deeper and explain why this is important. The reason this is important is because when we are thinking about dialogue and our characters' interactions, we have to think about the atmosphere. We have to think about the scenario, the scene entirely. And if what our dialogue is voicing does not match that environment or scenario, then it comes off to the reader as a little bit confusing. And we don't want that. And I noticed when I was writing stories how that tended to happen a couple of times where my dialogue didn't necessarily match the scene. And so in order for me to get a better grasp of how the dialogue should sound or what the words I should say in it, I had to draw them out. I had to have these blocks of scenes where my characters were interacting. And of course, like I've said in past podcasts, you don't need to be a Picasso. You don't need to be a Leonardo da Vinci, at drawing a storyboard. It's not about that. It's not about perfection of drawing necessarily. I mean, it is a good trait to pick up if you want to delve into that, but it's not necessary. We just need to block out the scenes to see if our dialogue works, because it's got to work. It's the whole point. Like, we don't want to put out a dialogue that doesn't work. We've seen it in so many movies where if there's not good dialogue that leads up through the whole plot of the story, then it just kind of falls apart. And sometimes it's also about the character, right? Your character development is so important. Everything's connected. So like with actors, you can give them the best lines possible. If the actor's not good, then the dialogue also falls apart. And so you want to make sure as well when you're blocking out these storyboards that your character is well developed enough to fall into par with the dialogue and the scene altogether. If there's any recommendation I could give you guys as far as what to study for dialogue, I would say definitely study comic books, study mangas, because they have a way of keeping their dialogue short and sweet, but so impactful from scene to scene. They're not too wordy. It's just they're saying just the right words to keep the reader wanting to turn page to page, and that's what you want in your stories. You want the readers to keep moving on to the next scene, the next conversation, eager to find out what's going to happen next. And guys, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, they definitely do this with movies. I mean, a director or writer would be lying to say if they didn't use any type of storyboarding to execute their scenes for movies. This is not something that I'm thinking about. This is just how should I say, this is writing slash dialogue 101. This is like the basics. Like, but a lot of times when we as writers start off in the beginning, we don't think to draw out scenes. We just dive right in, which is, I'm not against it. You know, learn the words, learn to be a wordsmith first. Get comfortable with it. Get comfortable with putting your voice out there and being curious to create characters that maybe no one's ever thought of. You know, I know I'm kind of stretching out, you know, as far as creativity goes, but I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, never say never. Don't think that what you're creating has already been done. That's a fool's game, and it always psychs you out for failure. You know, I would highly recommend to experiment with that. But what's going to help you get a better grasp of what you're doing is going to be storyboarding. Honestly, I wish I had done it earlier on. And that's sad coming from somebody who went to school for art. I went to school for visual effects. I got a bachelor's in media arts and animation, and that was one of the things we learned was storyboarding. But as I merged more into the writing scene, I actually never thought of putting the two together. But as I've again gotten so deep into my writing, I'm realizing how beneficial it is, and that is why I'm here sharing this with you guys. And in a ways, I know it might sound like this might slow down your process, but I promise you, it only makes the process more fun for writing when you can actually see your scenes visually. Seeing words every day and typing them can get a little boring, a little repetitive, and doing storyboards just brings a new light to your writing. You kind of feel like a director in a sense. I mean, you are essentially the director of your story, but really, like you feel like a director when you're doing it, because you're not only writing out the scenes, but you're also bringing this sense of drama to it, right? For example, you're bringing in the lighting, you know, you're bringing in the background, the extras. Who's in the scene? Who else? You know, it can't just be the main character, you know. If you're in a coffee shop and your main character is interacting with the cashier, who's in the background? Could be somebody suspicious, somebody interesting that might hint to the reader that there's more to this scene than it seeming so, you know, cliche. This isn't the typical coffee scene you see when you go to the coffee shop. This is much different, or in fact, it could be very similar to the type of scene you see at a coffee shop. You might go into a coffee shop a lot of times and see someone that might come off a little bit suspicious or interesting. You wonder what their story could be and who they could be tied to in the room. But this is the cool part, right? This is where the conversation of the main character and the cashier gets interesting, because the way they interact will possibly give you the hint that there is something going off with this character in the background. Maybe the cashier gives a side eye to the background while talking to the main character, hinting that something isn't quite right. Something's getting ready to happen. This is the type of stuff you want to correlate in your dialogue. And you have to emphasize it, right? Like, as she's talking to the main character, have it where, have it where her voice is a little faint. She's sweating at the forehead a little bit. And the main character is trying to figure it out. He looks back and notices somebody, but then turns back to her and notices that it could be connected. But see, guys, you really don't see that when you're writing it out. Sure, you can envision it in your head, but you really, really don't get the sense of what that looks like until you draw it out. And that's the beauty of storyboarding, is that you're getting this vision up front and you're seeing how well your dialogue connects to it. If it seems a little bit off, change it. But it's hard to know that you need to make these changes without seeing it. visions can be a little bit blurred in our head sometimes. We can see it, but there's still smoke and mirrors, you know? You don't see it quite clearly. In fact, this is sometimes when I journal, I might actually draw out what I'm thinking about achieving, because seeing is believing. you know, I hate to say it, you know, sometimes we just don't believe what we don't see. And sometimes, even if it's a delusional vision, still you're seeing something and it makes you want to aim towards it. So I guess what my takeaway from this is that I want you guys to take this knowledge and actually put it to the test. Try it out. Don't be shy about it. Again, you don't have to be a flawless artist, drawer, should I say. You just need to draw something simple. Something simple enough that gets the point across. Something simple enough that you see the point cross. See what I did there? But all in all, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this session. This is a new episode. This is essentially a new season. I think season 4. I could be wrong. Either way, it's a new season. We've been gone for a while, like I said, and it's so good to be back. It's so good to talk with you all again. I absolutely love writing. I love writers. I love our community, and I just want to keep passing on the knowledge, with us all sharing knowledge and becoming stronger and better writers, passionate writers, never losing that love for it. Yeah. So again, guys, love you so much. Keep writing. And yes, please, please, please try out that storyboarding. I promise you, you're going to love it. But yeah, until the next episode, guys, which will probably be next week or the week after. But it'll be soon. I won't be stretching these out too far like before. So again, love you guys. Talk to you again soon. And don't forget, become a child again. Imagine, my friends. Been a while since I said that. Feels damn good. All right, guys. Enjoy your writing.